My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, it is currently 3:42 p.m. This is documentation of a sex offense. That's a Latina female. Documenting stalking in the path with light activity. This is exactly what Sherman Williams and RGS were engaged in. Sherman Williams was parked here. The fake sun was over the same exact venue. The fake sun advances in front of me as I move. This is a demon that's engaged in psychological torture with the unit in number 55, who was stomping, pacing, creating amplified audible activity inside of a private space. This is a third party that's going to be prosecuted with the state and is stalking in the path with light activity. That's again MARMMAK. She's gang stalking under the fake sun, which I documented at this venue. If you'll recall the sunset, that's during the 4 p.m., 5 p.m. hours. She's gang stalking on that day as well. She's still engaging in what is a repeated offense. That's the basis of federal prison. Okay, she's acting with impunity. That's what's relevant to it. And she's a sex offender monitoring in violation of Violence Against Women Act. This is a HUD regulated property where AVANATH is gang stalking with the people that come onto the grounds that are engaged in the P.O.C. together. And she is gang stalking with, again, the third party license 5WUB715, who is gang stalking together. They're demons. And the demon above me is monitoring my device. She's monitoring my device. She comes onto the property to engage in federal stalking with the state of California that is monitoring an American citizen in a private space. This is a sex offense that a population engages and comes onto the ground to engage in, and everybody living here is engaging in it. That is AVANATH Capital Management, a demon, a coward, a sex offender, keeping his back to me while he's monitoring. Demons don't have to look at you or talk to you. What you're going to pay attention to is that on this day in 2024, that's how you know that AVANATH is gang stalking and all their employees are going to federal prison. Him and Linda Reyes. Right, amongst any others. They are gang stalking as a community that is a bunch of sex offenders, monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom. Monitoring my devices. This is monitoring the evidence. The federal government's going to prosecute them for obstruction as well. This is a demon stalking in the path. He's walking in engineer light that's in the shade. He is walking by the building that the fake sun stays over. As a matter of evidence, you saw it over this building at 8:31 a.m. He's gang stalking. You see it still here at the same property, and it's not at Alvarado Gardens, because this is what you see, the light source through my bedroom window at 3:44 in the afternoon. That's impossible to be the case. That impossibility is what is showing the evidence of gang stalking and demon possessed who have the audacity to stalk you right in your face, because that demon knows that she's being documented and she's still stalking on behalf of the state. They're gang stalking walking on G Street. They're gang stalking driving on Vine and G Street. They're gang stalking coming onto the property. They're gang stalking walking at AVANATH. And AVANATH Capital Management is a gang stalking landlord. This is unprecedented criminal conduct. They're doing so with those under the age of majority. These are demons that are pacing in the parking lot, on the street, All right, coming on, all they're doing is pacing, including UPS. You know that UPS is a gang stalker, okay? Because that's what they're doing. There's no sun that's outside of my bedroom window on this day in 2024. I'm capturing the light source, which is revealing a malicious criminal system that the state of California, including the gang stalkers that I documented at 3 p.m., the Ontario Police Department, sex offenders monitoring my genitalia and monitoring my devices in violation of 34 U.S.C. section 12291. That's the Violence Against Women Act that AVANATH is violating. AVANATH employees are violating, and AVANATH residents are violating. Every single last one. They're done with their housing. All right, and you also know that because the amplification of train activity under the fake sun in relevant positioning. The state's criminal conduct, which is very highly unintelligent as you break it down, is going to incriminate every single third party who will be identified as an individual where the federal government does not help them, has not helped them, and neither do the people help the state. This is the removal of the office of Paulion, okay? This is a demon that's gang stalking. The mayor is never under the sun that's remaining over me in Ontario, California. This is the entity that is gang stalking as a community, and AVANATH is gang stalking in the same manner. Good afternoon. It's called Crossing Path. And the engineered light, that's the elements of monitoring, and AVANATH is going to be prosecuted, and he's going to prison. All right. He is also a threat to the minor children that he's in custody of while he monitors the genitalia of another woman, and he does so with impunity. And wearing a uniform doesn't change that. It shows malice. All right. While he's on the job, he's working in engineered light. This is not the product of sunlight. Neither is the sun maintaining perfect alignment with me over the same apartment building that is over at 8 o'clock in the morning, where I'm showing you the light source outside of my bedroom window on this day in 2024. Union Pacific is gang stalking, and Union Pacific is not coincidentally doing that, because you know what I'm doing on the internet right now as well, which you will see on the YouTube channel. I am publishing video evidence of the Union Pacific Railroad gang stalking at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. So the entity that's monitoring online, that's called technical abuse under section 12291 of the Violence Against Women Act. The entity is repeating that which it's monitoring that I'm publishing online. This is the prosecution of a whole property. They're all going to be prosecuted. Units 33 through 64 are going to prison. It's light activity, pacing together. Those are demons monitoring together. That's what you're looking at. And it's a sex offense because they're monitoring my genitalia together. They're all interested in what's going on between my legs. It's going by company names, going by individuals, and it's also facilitated by gang stalking mother. Tracy Banks is monitoring me, and she's doing so with the population, with the government, with a whole bunch of males and females that are monitoring a woman in violation of the HUD rules that regulate this property, and also the government itself, a public entity that's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender, and a population that's going to be prosecuted as an entity committing sexual violence as a community, stalking as a community, engaging in psychological torture as a community, okay? This is where the Demon 55 is contributing to the psychological torture that they're engaging in together, all right? And they're not actually focused on loading and unloading groceries, going back to their house. They're not focused on traffic. They're not focused on coming in to the property and engage. They're not focused on walking to 7-Eleven. They're all focused on stalking me. This is gang stalking. And this light source in the sky space is the direct evidence where you're recognizing the pattern of conduct and the malice of everything happening. AVANATH Capital Management isn't concerned with working and landscaping, etc. They're focused on gang stalking. That's why the fake sun is here. And at the same time, the supernatural occurrence that it's over my apartment at 1806 North Alvarado Street at the same exact time, which is speaking to deportation where it applies. Those that despise this country, those that demonstrate it through impunity in your face, those are the ones that are going to be deported as well, okay? Those that are a threat to children, they engage in sexual violence, sexually violent acts against women or men, and they're doing so while you are documenting it. That's what you're seeing when you're looking at gang stalking right in your face. They're going to be removed from the children whom they threaten while they show the barbaric and sexually perverted and sexually motivated criminal conduct that the state of California is engaging in. Recall the documentation of the Ontario Police Department gang stalking in helicopter. I was at the same apartment at 8:31 in the morning where the fake sun was right here. You're talking about 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 hours later, here's the same fake sun. Those demons are going to be removed from the children that they are in custody of while they gang stalk with audacity. Okay, this is showing disdain and disrespect and actual hatred for the Constitution. And so, where the facts apply, such that you're not a natural born citizen, they hate this country, and so they're going to be deported out of this country. It's very simple. Okay, and the public official Paul Leon is being removed as he's exposed as a domestic terrorist who hates the Constitution. He hates your American rights. All right, that as you enforce them, while the city of Ontario is indeed gang stalking with impunity. Okay, it is currently again 3:50 p.m. This is capturing the criminal conduct of an entity that acts with impunity, and AVANATH Capital Management is going to be prosecuted under VAWA. violence against women, while the people of the state come onto the grounds to gang stalk with it as a company and with the people of the state who are collectively making up a corrupt entity that is engaged in criminal surveillance and psychological torture. All right, this is P.O.C. What that third party is doing here is in sync with the demon that's monitoring me inside of this apartment, and she acts as an entity. Psychological torture is underway as a community, and it's going to be the federal prosecution of the whole venue as well. But this is the prosecution of the state. It is again 3:50 p.m. This is P.O.C. It is currently 3:53 p.m. on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. This is in reference to the video that I just captured showing again, the scientific phenomenon that the natural environment could ever include the sun being over Woodside Senior Apartments at any time of day, let alone at the same time when I am on this same day in 2024, living and working, and on this particular day remaining inside of my apartment where I documented a scientific phenomenon. The sun remained present over my apartment from morning until the evening, which again, you document that when your allegations include the fact that strangers are stalking you and that the government is stalking you, right? And this provides context regarding every other criminal act that the state engages in, and the state cannot do it by itself. Under the facts of federal group stalking and monitoring, the state is acting both directly and vicariously. The state is acting through the people of the state, who are not private citizens. They are third parties, and they engage in state action vicariously. And so everything that is said, everything that is done is committed on behalf of the state. And this is stripping that malicious entity of its malicious use and exploitation of the Constitution, both to limit the government, but also to extend constitutional rights and privacy rights, where the entity wants to stalk you where they live and work, for example, where they're actually maliciously gang stalking you with the government, with the state. And the pattern of conduct through the maintenance of a specific environment is the direct evidence. It's not circumstantial evidence, it's direct evidence. And that's based on how profound the evidence is, on how the level of malice that is proven by virtue of that specific environment, which is also the introduction, if you're ignorant about the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm is that which you are looking at physically on a daily basis, and you're also not paying attention to it, because I'm not pointing out anything that you don't have access to with your eyes. I mean, if you have the gift of sight, you're looking at it every day, you're just not paying attention to what you're looking at. And so it does defy nature. And what I captured is video starting at 3:42 p.m. and what you see at the top is while I am inside of my bedroom. As you can see, I'm inside of building 1806. I'm facing building, that would have been building 1816. Building 1818 and 1816, where the fake sun is right outside of my bedroom window. And this is at 3:44 p.m. So this is what inspired my starting the video at 3:42 p.m. And this is also relevant to in the morning when you're looking at the pattern of conduct. The entity has the fake sun over me outside of my bedroom window at 3:44 in the afternoon, and the entity has the fake sun outside of my living room window. The same apartment, the same address, the same property, and the entity engages in conduct such that it takes 6 hours for the sun never leaving to just go from one side of my apartment to the other. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, over 6 hours. That's not the natural environment. That is showing you the specific environment where the people of the state are stalking. You're stalking where you live. You're stalking as you arrive at the grounds of this venue where the fake sun sits all day. You're stalking as you work at the venue. You're stalking with regard to the demonic means of stalking, with regard to not just presence, but presence, stalking with noise, stalking with light, which the demon possessed engage in. It is the signature of Satan. All right, so the demon possessed are maliciously engaging in a pattern of conduct in a readily identified environment. And also, not only do you see 9:54 a.m., this is where the fake sun remains present. But if you'll recall, the entity has the fake sun because what happened yesterday is evidence about what's supposed to happen today, because the state of California would like to contend that the American citizen claiming that strangers are stalking them are hallucinating, that they're mentally ill, and that it's the natural environment. And they like to laugh at the notion of, as I've termed it, and that's based on the asininity that the state practices, not my intelligence. That bears on them, on their mental instability, not mine. And so it is appropriately referred to as the fake sun, because the actual sun, the natural environment, is not one that sits idle at one address all day long. And so while Satan laughs at himself and is convinced that no one's ever going to witness the evidence about the fact that they are all demons and that they're all stalking in unfathomable and unprecedented manners, they are engaged in what is the malice of stalking as an entity. And that's how you see yesterday, the fake sun is over me at Woodside Senior Apartments at 8:26 in the morning. What happened yesterday in the natural environment is going to happen today with regard to the natural environment. And so you have the fake sun that's present, necessarily so, because the sun that's present over me at Woodside Senior Apartments in Ontario is not going to the next day be over Alvarado Gardens, which is what the entity would suggest is happening. And it's impossible that that would be the case. So this is why you document. The entity is tethered to the evidence. You will not be debating Satan in federal court. You're literally just going to present the facts, and then you're going to prosecute based on every defamatory word, every libelous document that is created in order for the entity to criminally defame you, kidnap you, and while the entity also engages in things such as taking your life, which is a murder under the facts of federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay, it's no negligent acts, there's no accidents, it's malicious murder, and premeditation is proven through the criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring. The entity is targeting you the entire time until there is a loss of life, which is a murder. All right, and this is the conspiracy to murder, where the entity is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. And under the current case, there are facts, collateral crimes that have been committed, proving the fact that there is an actual conspiracy to murder. The one who is alleging gang stalking, not only alleging but proving gang stalking, and also proving the fact that the ones who are gang stalking are demon possessed. If you're ignorant about what that means, you're seeing it through the environment and you're seeing it through their behavior. So the entity is keeping this light source over at 8:26 in the morning. Well, this is the same property, and it is present over me at over 3 o'clock, and after 3 o'clock it's 3:42 in the afternoon. That's not the sun. That would be literally, let me give you one more big picture analysis. I am inside of what is this little teeny tiny less than 600 square feet, and so you're talking about from one end of the apartment from the to the opposite end, and the fake sun is still aiming inside of the apartment. That's not the sun. Okay, this is speaking to the pattern of conduct where at what point in the day is the sun ever going to be over my apartment, like I documented, in order to avoid any sort of debate with corrupt DAs and corrupt public defenders, or any sort of corrupt state actor who would like to allege and bring into the controversy the targeted individual's mind state, as opposed to what is necessarily brought into the controversy, the mental health state of the entity that's gang stalking, the delusional psychopaths, the violent sex offenders, the bloodthirsty murderers who are gang stalking in the state of California. Because that's what's actually relevant. All right. But this is, again, the government that's bullying American citizens, and American citizens that are not armed with evidence and cannot defend themselves. They can't prove such outlandish yet absolutely truthful allegations. Okay, but in the courts, and it's a good thing, you have to prove what you're alleging. It's not based on what you know, it's not based on what you can discern, but it's based on what you can prove. All right, and so again, this is just common sense. The fake sun is remaining over me at Woodside Senior Apartments as I'm showing you the fake sun through the window, through the peephole. You're looking at engineer light from the front door into the kitchen on the wall. This is where an entity is flying over and gang stalking in helicopters, doing so as they're monitoring the evidence on the internet. That's the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. That's gang stalking right now at 4:02 p.m. while the people of the state are stalking in the kitchen. That's the federal imprisonment of the people of the state. The entire property, Woodside Senior Apartments, is engaged in criminal monitoring. They're all violating the Violence Against Women Act. 34 U.S.C. Section 12291. And that's, again, Tracy Banks. You saw her on video under the fake sun at 8:30 in the morning. She's also under the fake sun right now at 3:42 p.m. I'm capturing that video. And that's speaking to the entity that's conspiring. A gang stalking mother is conspiring to murder her own daughter. By the way, in case you did not understand that threat, that's the threat of the demon possessed to national security. They'll murder their own children. They will murder you. That's a real-time threat. Okay, this is the government that's gang stalking my helicopter. That's documentation as I'm capturing at 4:02 p.m. Mike Lorenz has no legitimacy. He's being removed like every other demon-possessed gang stalker that is working for the Ontario Police Department. Those are gang members. They're rapists. They're pedophiles. They're sex traffickers. They're molesters. They're kidnappers and murderers. And they are engaged in gang violence, engaging in what is criminal conduct, having access to helicopters, bearing weapons, and wearing badges that Paul Leon cooperates with this corrupt department as a domestic terrorist leader. Paul Leon's being removed. Mike Lorenz is being removed. The Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. This is the same department that is monitoring my genitalia with a gang stalking mother. It doesn't get any more absurd with the level of perverted conduct, with the level of criminality, with the level of hypocrisy. All of those that are in a position, they're supposed to be protecting you. They're supposed to be serving you with regard to the Ontario Police, the government itself. And you're talking about what's a mother who's supposed to be a nurturer, who's supposed to be a protector in and of by herself. This is the absolute opposite of that. This is the demon-possessed who are gang stalking. And so they're doing so in the specific environment. And this is all on the watch of AVANATH Capital Management, a gang stalking landlord that's going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted. All right. And so, again, as I'm, documenting, the Ontario Police Department is flying over. This is, again, big picture. The fake sun is remaining over from one side. Apartment 51 is inside of this building right here, where the fake sun is remaining from one end of the building to the opposite end of the building, where at what point in the day is it ever going to be seen outside of my window in Los Angeles at 9:54 a.m. like I documented. And demons that are hostile to their inferiority, both intellectually and as human beings who stalk others for no legitimate reason, because they're demon-possessed, because they don't like themselves, because they need deliverance from Christ Jesus, and also because they're hostile, because their mental illness, because their proclivities towards sexual violence, because their criminal activity is being exposed. This is gross public corruption. Paul Leon is not merely derelict on the job. He is a criminal. He is a domestic terrorist leader. And as you expose terrorist leaders, they engage in psychological torture, such as stalking you in a helicopter in a manner that you can hear, while you're looking at your relatives stalking you in the path right in your face. All right? Every single last aspect of that crime is going to be punished with prison. All right? It's going to be punished with regard to disbanding that gang member calling itself a police department. It's going to be punished with regard to placement in mental asylums, where the mental illness of that entity that's targeting is exhibiting a level of mental instability that's a threat to national security, such as demons who are stalking in commercial airline planes, like what's going on at the Ontario International Airport, another venue that's going to be shut down. All right. This is where an entity is rising and setting a sun over one building. This is where an entity is rising and setting a sun while remaining inside of one teeny tiny apartment. This is compared with the specific environment that is remaining under the fake sun, where I'm on the same day remaining in Los Angeles. That's sharing no environment whatsoever. The sun is never in any position to be in Los Angeles, contrary to what I documented, however. And this is how you're understanding the inevitable conclusions regarding what is stalking, as it's proven amongst an entity that is acting together, acting as one entity, strangers stalking in a specific environment amongst those whose name you know, amongst those whose name you do not need to know. All right, they are acting together as one in a readily identifiable environment, which is speaking to malice. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct with the ongoing knowledge of everything that's being documented, meaning the Ontario Police Department made a decision right now to gang stalk in helicopter with regard to the video evidence that I am publishing, that I'm going to publish, that I'm capturing right now, and they do so with the intent to obstruct justice. And as they do so, not only is that police department facing inevitable disbanding, not only is that demon's name going to be produced because they're going to prison. Nothing that the Ontario Police is doing is going to go nameless and remain mysterious. Oh, the feds, oh, we don't know who that was. There's no way of finding out who that is. I guess we're not getting justice there. That's not what's happening. That's not what's going to happen. Everything that the Ontario International Airport is doing, everyone that's doing it in the sky space here, my documentation is not the sole means of exacting justice. The Ontario Police Department is my documentation is not the sole means of exacting justice, and the demons are going to produce themselves. And the demon that flew over in helicopter with the intent to obstruct justice, criminally interfering with quiet enjoyment in order to gang stalk with regard to the intent to obstruct justice, in concert with the demon that's inside of the apartment with me, under the fake sun at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, under the fake sun with the same police department gang stalking me at 8:31 in the morning. Based on that level of malice. That's a prosecution of an entity. And so this is what I'm documenting here. This is why I started the video at 3:42 p.m. because this is where the entity had the sun 365 days ago. All right. And with regard to the specific environment, it is that which defies how the natural environment will operate. Not only as you isolate the venue and just look at what the entity is doing with the sun at Woodside Senior Apartments, and everybody under that sun is stalking. Everybody under that sun that's stalking, intentionally, knowingly, they're demon possessed and they're maliciously doing so. Now, with regard to laws that exist, you're going to prosecute because these demons can't pay their rent. They're under federally regulated rules governing how life is supposed to go here. And it's not supposed to include gang stalking. It's a violation, an unprecedented one that's going to be recognized because gang stalking is stalking, and it is in violation of existing law regarding the Violence Against Women Act. All right, and this is something that Linda Reyes, this is something that the employee that you'll see in this video is in violation of, both as a resident and as a malicious employee, gang stalking on the job in the specific environment, just like speaker companies was doing here at Alvarado Gardens when I lived and worked there. And speaker companies' personnel were gang stalking me in concert with my residents as I was a property manager there, and they were all gang stalking. And that's why that whole property is going to prison, all 59 units. All right, this is what's underway here at Woodside Senior Apartments and what the Ontario Police Department did by helicopter at 4 p.m. during this video, during the course of the video. Very foolish conduct that they continuously engage in, incriminating the people, not helping them when they're standing before the courts, because Mike Lorenz and every other terrorist organization that's engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct is providing evidence against its criminal co-defendant, the people of the state. All right, where the criminal purpose is supposed to bully you into silence. And it's happening while I'm capturing video. That's a criminal act of obstruction of justice that the people of the state share. Okay, the entity is doing so with a level of mental instability that the world is recognizing, witnessing, and doing so with a level of malice and impunity that is requiring what is justice. And that is, again, where you are inside of the private space and the people of the state, like you saw on video. You saw a demon threatening the life of her own daughter, gang stalking your own child. That's somebody that belongs in the padded room. That's where she's going, and that's where she belongs, because that's where that type of maniacal behavior, that sort of psychotic conduct, that sort of predatory behavior, that's where that belongs. That is also working for a police department. Okay, that is exactly why you're disbanding. That police department has engaged in kidnapping me because I'm documenting them. You shall not interfere with or inject yourself in a federal investigation, a federal case. Never mind that the demons don't like the fact that they're being investigated. Nobody has asked Satan's opinion and Satan's feelings about it. It is inevitable, and this is exactly what justice requires based on the level of impunity and malice that the entity continuously exhibits, and I document. All right? The entity is doing so, again, this third party, MARMMAK, documented this demon before under the fake sun setting at this same venue at Woodside Senior Apartments. And this is documentation, like I captured in the video, of impunity. Repeatedly engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, you will wind up in federal prison. All right, this is the entity that is engaged in a sex offense. In order to appreciate, let me put it to you in these terms. Engaging in raping someone one time is a crime, where you are subject to what is being served, for example, a restraining order, stay away from the defendant, the one whom you have sexually violated, and you rape that person again. Okay, you're talking about what is impunity under the law, just outright disregard for the law. The entity is engaged in a perpetual sex offense while you're gang stalking. The entity is engaged in an unprecedented violation of privacy while you're gang stalking. The entity is engaged in federal stalking, which is ongoing surveillance by the state. The state is relying on the people of the state to maintain presence, maintain activity, maintain light activity, etc. And you do so repeatedly, you're going to prison. All right, this is what a population practices. This is the light source, so we're going to go ahead and listen. 42 p.m. This is documentation of a sex offense. That's a Latina female documenting stalking in the path with light activity. This is exactly And as you see the light source, this is why you are understanding what this third party in the license plate in alignment with the apartment, with the flashers on. This is light activity. This is stalking, conspicuous stalking in the path, and a demon that is stalking you in your face, and you're not supposed to be able to prove, let alone articulate anything that's supposed to appear unlawful. That's the malice of it. Now, once you're getting past the veil, now you're going to prosecute for that impunity with which the demons have the audacity to continue stalking you and monitoring you. That's why they're going to prison. Because that's exactly what the state of California is doing and has been doing for years. And this is why you have people like Mike Lorenz, criminally liable for domestic terrorism, and aiding and abetting the American citizens who seek to murder their co-workers or murder their children or murder their spouses or murder somebody they have some personal vendetta with, stole their boyfriend, and so let's gang stalk them so we can kill them and make it look like some sort of accident and collect the insurance money. This is what the police department are engaging in, and the entity is seeking to benefit off of such criminal purposes. It's essentially engaging in what treating American citizens like it's some sort of lottery. All right. This is what the police departments are actually engaging in, and it's domestic terrorism. And the chief of police is a domestic terrorist leader, not beyond a federal prosecution for it. All right. So this is the understand the significance of what I'm approaching, the threat that I'm faced with while I am documenting and enforcing my rights, and the entity continues to engage in that pattern of conduct regardless of that fact. And then they're going to sit in federal court when they're prosecuted, and everything that I document is relevant to when the demons are facing judgment in court, because they're going to sit in court and they're going to maintain an absolutely implausible narrative if they say anything at all. But you're dealing with psychopaths, you're dealing with Satan, and that's why I document, because they're going to sit in court and they're going to have to face everything that they knew was being documented, and they continued. This is somebody that will kill as many people as possible until the very moment that they're tackled by the feds, or till the feds take them out. That's a national security threat. Documenting stalking in the path with light activity. This is exactly what Sherman Williams and RGS were engaged in. Sherman Williams was parked here. The fake sun was over the same exact venue. The fake sun advances in front of me as I move. This is a demon that's engaged in psychological torture with the unit in number 55, who was stomping, pacing, creating amplified audible activity inside of a private space. This is a third party that's going to be prosecuted. And remember, the demon in unit 55 is not merely noisy, it's amplified noise. The crackling of the ceiling and the walls is that which is, first of all, occurring on an unreasonable basis, on a 24-hour basis. It's occurring with simultaneity to my physical movement, with simultaneity to what the demons are monitoring regarding my thoughts, what it is that I'm thinking about, the moment that I fall asleep, the moment that I'm in use of my devices. This is the federal stalking conduct. This is with regard to prosecuting in the natural. You're going to prosecute for criminal violation of quiet enjoyment. You're going to prosecute for federal stalking on devices, on the venue of the internet, on behalf of the state. You're going to prosecute for what is gang stalking while you're also under surveillance online and on your devices, which this demon in the parking lot is acting in concert with the demon above me in 55 and the demon inside of the apartment with me, who you hear walking back and forth to the microwave, laughing and chit-chat and creating activity in doing so, not appearing or behaving herself as though she's innocent or ignorant, behaving herself like a psychopath, a delusional one, who has for her entire life relied on the spirit of gossip and relied on literally the spirit of Jezebel, sex, in order to avoid consequences. And that's not going to work in federal prison. It's surely not going to work against me. I don't want anything to do with any of those spirits. I'm going to prosecute this demon. Okay? You're hearing impunity and malice in the background while she's still monitoring, gang stalking me. All right, and that is the defendant that's inside of the apartment with me, gang stalking me with those that are on the property grounds, license MARMMAK, committing a sex offense, engaged in federal stalking, violating the Violence Against Women Act, doing so in concert with the entity. The state and is stalking in the path with light activity. That's again MARMMAK. She's gang stalking under the fake sun, which I documented at this venue. If you'll recall, the sunset, that's during the 4 p.m., 5 p.m. hours. She's gang stalking on that day as well. She's still engaging in what is a repeated offense. That's a basis of federal prison. Okay? She's acting with impunity. That's what's relevant to it. And she's a sex offender monitoring in violation of Violence Against Women Act. This is a HUD-regulated property where AVANATH is gang stalking with the people that come onto the grounds that are engaged in the P.O.C. together. And she is gang stalking with, again, the third-party license 5WUB715, who is gang stalking together. They're demons. And the demon above me is monitoring my device. She's monitoring my device. She comes onto the property to engage in federal stalking with the state of California that is monitoring an American. All right, so let's look at this. You're seeing this fake sun at 3:42 p.m. The entity is keeping a fake sun over me while I am at 3:44 p.m. capturing the fake sun outside of my bedroom window in Los Angeles. And so you see the sun, and then you're also looking at the engineered light inside of my apartment. First of all, this is impossible light activity. It's appearing at an angle on the bedroom wall through closed blinds, and it's magnified on the wall. This is the same thing you see inside of this apartment here at Woodside Senior Apartments. It's engineered light. But nonetheless, the sun that's over Woodside Senior Apartments, as I'm standing in front of it, where it remains from morning until evening, is under no circumstance creating any sort of sunlight. Even the impossible light activity is out of conformity with what the demons would like to argue, contend unpersuasively and unrealistically and unintelligently that it's sunlight, the product of the sun that's over Woodside Senior Apartments inside of my bedroom in Los Angeles, California, creating any sunlight over the neighboring venue that's gang stalking me as well, creating any sunlight on the parking lot, on the brick walls. That's not the result of the sun that's over me at Woodside Senior Apartments. All right. The entity kept the fake sun idle over Woodside Senior Apartments. It's never venturing anywhere near LA to have any sunlight anywhere else. This is also why you document, because the entity is surrounded by highly just idiotic conduct with regard to the stalking with light stuff. The stalking with light chicanery. All right, so this is what the entity is doing, and doing so with real-time knowledge of everything that's being documented. So this is the video that I captured at 3:53 p.m. where the entity is keeping this fake sun at 3:42 p.m. I've already shown you this. The entity is keeping the fake sun not only at 3:42 p.m., but as is the case right now, while engineered light is appearing and disappearing, while essentially something akin to a humongous artificial light bulb is remaining in the sky space, and engineered light is appearing on the patio glass door, which is not sunlight, because that would be evidence of the sun that never reached Florida while it's coating the patio glass door at the same apartment where it's present, rising in the morning. Nonetheless, this is the pattern of conduct that you document in order to prosecute beyond a reasonable doubt what is stalking by a population that is maintaining presence under a light source that's not the natural environment, and an engineered light that is key to surveillance. Presence in that engineered light is accomplishing surveillance on communication devices and in the path. And so at 4:12 p.m., this is where the fake sun is remaining present, but I'm showing you the fake sun at 3:53 p.m. while I'm remaining in my apartment in Los Angeles, California. Now, what you see below, this is the daily occurrence. Engineer light through the closed blinds. This is what I'm showing inside of my bedroom in Los Angeles. Through the blinds are closed, okay? They're closed. This is engineer light that's piercing through, magnified in size on the wall, okay? This is the same pattern of conduct. It's the light source itself, the same place where the sun is rising, magnified through closed blinds, the blind slats appearing all over the couch. This is engineer light for purposes of surveillance. The entity is stalking with noise, stalking in the path with light, which is what the third party with MARMMAK, that's what her license plate. She's stalking in the path with flashers on. That's light activity in the specific environment under the fake sun. And this is the same P.O.C. that I documented in Los Angeles. And the entity is keeping a fake sun here right now, and I've already shown what I'm doing. The fake sun is remaining in Los Angeles. This could never be the sun, not only as you isolate the venue, because the sun is not going to rise and set at one address. 8:30 in the morning to what is 4:12 in the afternoon, I'm still looking at the sun. Okay, the entity is keeping the light source and is keeping engineer light, because criminal surveillance inside of a private space remains underway. And it's an egregious sex offense committed by an entity. And that entity in federal court is going to be broken down by individual names. That entity acts together. The entity that's gang stalking by amplified noise inside of the apartment is gang stalking with regard to the exact same criminal conduct. They're all together stalking with light activity, while MARMMAK, that license plate, is stalking with light. The demons are also stalking with amplified noise inside of the apartment. They're together engaged in psychological torture. They're gang stalking together while the perpetual sex offense is underway. That's the prosecution of the state of California. The identical P.O.C. committed by a population on behalf of the government, the state, and its demonic activity. These are the demon possessed. All right, it is currently, again, 4:22 p.m. This is juxtaposing the specific environment at Alvarado Gardens with the specific environment at Woodside Senior Apartments, where my life continues to remain under threat. All right, in the same way that the entity threatening my ability to go to work and not be gang stalked, not be subject to terrorism, threatening my ability to provide for myself, and then criminally defaming me as though I cannot provide for myself and keep a job while you are the one that's targeting me. You're the one that's engaged in psychologically torturing me, and then wants to present it as though I am not able to provide for myself. Those are the delusional psychopaths that are going to prison. That's called malice. And the entity that's targeting me and then wants to falsely depict me as one that cannot provide for myself or keep a job. I am the same person that has financed my own education, and I went to college, the only one in my family. I went to law school, the only one in my family. I'm the only one that broke past the barriers that they remain stifled by, and they're targeting me because of envy for that, and then want to falsely depict me as the one that can't provide for myself, when they are the ones that rely on things such as the system to pay their rent, while they're violating the laws in order to get such assistance to pay their rent. Okay, those are the likes of who's are gang stalking you. Okay, these are the flunkies in life. It is currently, again, 4:23 p.m. This is the documentation of the pattern of conduct. All right. And this is P.O.C. at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is all documentation of what a state action and AVANATH as a company is going to be prosecuted with regard to also the people of the state who are acting as an entity, but at federal prosecution, you're going to be prosecuted for all of that which you engaged in as an entity. Never mind that you didn't live at Alvarado Gardens and you weren't physically there. These are the breaks with regard to, in other words, these are the repercussions, these are the consequences for going in with the government to target an American citizen. And it's going to be way too much for one person to bear, in the same way that it's too much for an American citizen to bear a government bullying them in concert with the population. Justice requires it. It's 4:24 p.m. This is P.O.C.